Outside Birmingham, Alabama, the body of Brenda Bowen is found floating in a river.
It was wrapped in a sheet. It was wrapped in some chains. It was tied with some rope.
Her ex-husband, Jerry Lee Bowen, jumps bail and leads investigators on a cross-country manhunt.
Police! Lose your head! Get down! Get your head!
You were always afraid that if he did it once, he could do it again.
Bowen is desperate and takes drastic measures to erase his identity.
It was exactly like holding your finger to a fire. It was very, very painful.
Criminals sometimes try to escape from justice. This is the story of how one man almost got away with it. January 28, 1997. On a cold winter day in Shelby County, Alabama, Brenda Breckenridge Bowen, a mother of two and a local church leader, disappears.
I'm the one that received a phone call from Mr. Breckenridge, Brenda's dad, saying that something was wrong. That Brenda had not come to the house to pick her mother up to take her to a doctor's visit that morning.
Sheriff Chris Curry is a 27-year veteran of the Shelby County Sheriff's Office and knows the family well.
Look, it wasn't that there was a flat tire or something of that nature, that enough time had gone by and he realized that no phone call, no contact from Brenda, that there was something definitely wrong.
Brenda is well known in town, and word of her disappearance quickly spreads throughout the community. Her close friend, Darlene Story, knows Brenda from church.
I first learned of Brenda's disappearance probably around lunchtime, the day she disappeared. I knew something was wrong and just got in the car and left and headed to the church. That's where the people that we're looking for were.
We've got about 20 zones that we're going to be covering today.
Many in the community turn out to help search for Brenda.
We're looking for anything that Brenda may have dropped, anything that you recognize.
A local church serves as the command post.
Let's go.
The volunteers fan out from there.
To be able to search, you felt like you were doing something constructive.
We had just a tremendous effort put forth by the volunteers and the law enforcement, the rescue squads, to try and locate her.
Despite the hundreds of volunteers searching for Brenda, there is one individual suspiciously absent from the efforts: Brenda's ex-husband, Jerry Lee Bowen. By the time of Brenda's disappearance, Jerry and Brenda had been divorced for 2 years. Brenda and their children are living in the main house, while Jerry, a successful contractor, lives in a converted garage next door.
You always maintain hope. I mean, the lady and I were divorced, and even though I didn't want to live with her anymore, she was the mother of my 2 children, and I didn't wish her any harm in any way.
Investigators think otherwise. They search Bowen's house, looking for anything that might link him to Brenda's disappearance. Deputies come up empty-handed. As the search continues into the night, they make a grim discovery. A volunteer spots Brenda's car. It's been abandoned on a dirt road deep in the woods, not far from her house.
It's very critical at the early stages of a search to do all you can do, because as time goes on, the chances of finding the person, or worse, finding the person still alive, dwindle.
Deputies focus their attention on Jerry Lee Bowen.
And that night, about 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the morning, they asked me if I would go downtown to talk with them.
Mr. Bowen, you should come down to the office and ask some questions.
It's getting late.
Bowen was a smart, manipulative person who liked to be in control, was very organized. And I think that when you dealt with him, you had to be on your guard.
What do you think happened? I think someone is either detaining her or has done away with her.
Do you have any participation in the disappearance of Brenda?
No.
Okay. Did you kill Brenda?
I was so embarrassed. I'd never been arrested, never spent a moment in jail, nothing. It turned my world upside down.
I won't admit something I didn't do.
Bowen gives deputies little information. They don't have enough evidence to hold him. So Bowen is released.
All right, we'll terminate the interview and...
As weeks go by, both the investigators and the community begin to suspect the worst.
When somebody you love is missing, there's always that hope every night that wherever she was, that God would keep her safe and that the next day you would find her and she was going to be okay. But as time went on, you come to realize that's not going to happen.
On March 29th, 2 months after Brenda's disappearance, a body is found floating in the Coosa River, 16 miles from the Bowen house.
This phone call comes in that 2 fishermen discovered something in the river. The body had been in the water an extensive amount of time. It was wrapped in a sheet. It was wrapped in some chains. It was tied with some rope.
The forensics team arrives and examines the body. They are unable to locate many clues.
The coroner's office and the Alabama Department of Forensic Sciences medical examiner could not pinpoint a specific cause of death because the body had been in the water apparently the entire 2 months and had deteriorated significantly.
News of the grisly discovery reaches a heartbroken community.
After 2 months, you know it's not going to be a good ending. It's a hard thing to realize that that's truly what happened to her.
With foul play clearly evident, the sheriff's office begins their homicide investigation. Police contact Brenda's neighbors, church members, business associates, and her ex-husband, Jerry Lee Bowen.
We keep working through that list, eliminating them for one reason or another, and keep coming back to Jerry with additional questions and issues, which, he wasn't very forthcoming.
Bowen is their prime suspect. And for nearly a year, deputies continue to watch him, gather evidence, and build their case. Investigators reconstruct the events leading up to Brenda's disappearance. They return to the location where Brenda's body was found.
So it was an 11-month intensive effort put on by our investigators and associates before we reached a point where we were ready to present it to a grand jury.
Law enforcement heads out to arrest Jerry Lee Bowen.
Jerry was an accomplished firearms expert. He shot a lot, owned a lot of guns.
Investigators know that his gun collection includes a .44 caliber Magnum and a 12-gauge shotgun.
He had the potential to be dangerous if he chose to make a stand, so we took sufficient force to make sure it was handled effectively.
Let's go.
Late on Friday afternoon, the sheriff, his deputies, and the SWAT team arrive at Bowen's home. They surround the building and cut the phone lines.
Mr. Bowen, come out with your hands up now. Your house is surrounded.
I got a phone call from someone that told me that they had gotten the indictment and were going to come to arrest me on a Friday afternoon, that Friday afternoon.
The sheriff offers one final warning.
Mr. Bowen, if you do not come out now, we are coming in.
There is no response from inside. Then they charge in.
Police, with your hands! Get down, with your hands! Left clear. Right clear.
They search the premises. Bowen is nowhere to be found.
I was told by a deputy sheriff that the sheriff had sent the SWAT team out there with a body bag saying, "We don't have enough evidence to convict him. Bring him back in a bag." That's the reason I ran.
Bowen knows that the authorities are highly motivated and fears that the arrest could turn violent. He leaves the county and spends the next 2 days laying low in a cheap motel. Bowen wants to turn himself in on his own terms. First thing Monday morning, Bowen calls his attorney to make the arrangements. Jerry Lee Bowen is indicted for murder. He makes bail the next day. The community is terrified that an accused killer is walking the streets.
After Jerry was arrested and then he was out on bail, it was a very scary time.
Bowen returns to work as a contractor. For him, life continues on as before. He shops at the hardware store where Darlene works.
But I remember once when he walked up, he offered me his hand to shake hands with me. And, I just looked at his hand and all I could think of was, this is the hand that killed her. There's no way I could touch him.
The trial begins on April 17, 2000.
Mr. Bowen is a...
The DA presents his case.
This is not the upstanding citizen he would like you to think that he is.
There is no direct evidence linking Bowen to the murder of his ex-wife. But the DA presents a barrage of circumstantial evidence.
He had the motive, he had the ability, and he had the opportunity.
First, he challenges Bowen's claim to have been home during the time of Brenda's disappearance. According to a workman who stopped by the house, no one was home. Secondly, the DA shows that the knots used to tie Brenda up were unusual and were knots that Bowen knew how to tie. And finally, on the night of Brenda's disappearance, Bowen was already referring to her in the past tense, long before her body was found.
It had been less than a day.
Some of the things that we saw and heard afterwards, you'll never forget. There were pictures from the scene. There were details about how she looked when they found her. And Jerry just sat there so calm.
After deliberating for 3 days, the jury returns with their verdict.
Jerry Bowen, the jury has found you guilty of murder in the first degree.
Despite the lack of evidence, the district attorney has convinced the jury that they find Jerry Lee Bowen guilty of first-degree murder.
And I was just shocked, totally shocked, that they could convict me with no evidence and no witnesses and basically trumped up facts.
When the verdict did come, there was such a relief, and there was crying, but it was quiet. It was very quiet in the courtroom.
Sentencing will take place in 2 months.
Remarkably, despite being convicted of murder, Bowen is released on bail.
They let me out on bail because I had such a clean record, so it was not that hard to get bond.
The sheriffs oppose his release, but are unable to prevent it. His bail is set at $150,000. Bowen puts his property up to cover the bail and returns home. He is due for sentencing in 2 months.
So that bothered me. But his behavior didn't divulge anything. He was in town. He was at normal places. He was doing somewhat normal things. We did keep an eye on him. We did make sure we were watching, so to speak. But everything seemed to be normal.
June 20th, 2000. It's been 2.5 years since Brenda disappeared. Jerry Bowen has been convicted of her murder and is now due in court for sentencing.
You could feel the tension. You could feel that people were anxious about what the sentence was going to be. So as time goes by and we all look at our watch and we look at the clock on the wall and it's 15 minutes, it's 20 minutes past time that the court was supposed to convene, you can sense and feel that emotion developing in that room.
Finally, one of Bowen's lawyers enters the courtroom. He's worried.
Where's Mr. Bowen?
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
Bowen's lawyer tells the judge that their client is not available for sentencing. In fact, he's gone, and they have no idea where he is. June 20th, 2000. Shelby County, Alabama.
Dude.
It's been a year and a half since fishermen discovered the body of a local church leader, Brenda Breckenridge Bowen. Her ex-husband, Jerry Lee Bowen, has been convicted of her
The
murder.
jury has found you guilty.
On the day of his sentencing, Bowen is nowhere to be found.
First thing that went through my head was we need to get a search warrant. And from that point forward, a nationwide search was instituted.
The sheriff acts quickly. His deputies search Bowen's home and discover a note he has left behind.
I left a note for my family saying that I didn't feel like I should have to spend time in prison for a crime that I did not commit, and that I was going on the run, to let them know that I was leaving.
Bowen began planning his escape 2 months earlier, the day after being convicted of murder. He researched how to be a fugitive, how to disappear, and how to assume a new identity. He knew that deputies were watching him, and that he would be spotted if he tried to leave town in his own truck. He needed a car that authorities wouldn't recognize.
I put on a fedora hat, wore my glasses, dressed in subdued clothing, and carried a cane.
There you go.
Bowen paid cash for the car, and then prepared for his new life on the run.
So I took everything I could in these 3 bags, put it in the car, and the next night, as soon as it got dark, I left. I was kind of like hoping for the best, expecting the worst.
Under the cover of darkness, Bowen leaves his home, his family, and the successful business he's built. He's now a fugitive on the run.
A pair of headlights would pop up in the rearview mirror, and well, I wonder if they're following me, you know. And I just left, paranoid, extremely sad, and just a little scared.
Investigators quickly realized that the manhunt for Bowen will require a national or even an international search. They contact the FBI and request assistance. The FBI assigns a special agent to the case. He is undercover and cannot be identified.
One of the first things you wind up doing in any investigation is you go back and contact friends, family, and associates.
The FBI search Bowen's house and seize his computer.
All right, here it is.
At the time, we had no real indication as to which direction he was traveling. All of his internet search terms pretty much went to all corners of the U.S. I mean, to me, it became pretty apparent that his intent was to leave, to change his identity, and not to come back.
Bowen's computer also reveals some disturbing information.
There was some pornographic images on that computer that I would not ever dream of being allowed to be seen by the general public. They were extremely graphic, extremely brutal. That kind of revelation that here's the inner world that Bowen lived in, it was very, very frightening. It was indicative that this is a dangerous person that lives within that seemingly normal shell.
The FBI alerts border officials that Bowen may attempt to leave the country. They also continue their search of Alabama, scouring the entire state. What the police don't know is that Bowen is 1,500 miles away. He's roaming the streets of Reno, Nevada.
I arrived in Reno, and Reno was open enough and laid back enough that I felt more comfortable there, that I could blend in and more easily disappear there.
Bowen needs a fake ID. He plans to find a homeless man, befriend him, and then assume his identity.
I started shopping for someone who looked like me. I started hitting the soup halls, the public parks, and befriending homeless men who were close to my age, close to my height, too.
How you doing?
Bowen finds it easy to manipulate the homeless men he meets.
You guys take care. You have a great day, okay?
The homeless people are eager to talk about what used to be, how strong and good-looking they used to be, how they used to work, because
Hey, guys.
present day is too painful.
I'm doing all right. Anybody thirsty?
It doesn't take Bowen long to lock onto a good
you go.
prospect.
I befriended Richard Bassett, who was an older gentleman who slept on the banks of the Truckee River in Reno. I found out that he had almost no contact with family.
Who wants to work now?
I found out he would not work. He fit the criteria.
No, you go ahead, Richard. I got your back. You go ahead and take a sleep.
Bowen gets a hold of Richard Bassett's driver's license and Social Security card. Bowen hits the road with the makings of a new identity in hand. He travels from Reno, Nevada to Salt Lake City, Utah, a journey of 500 miles.
When I got the information from Richard Bassett, I decided to go to the DMV in Salt Lake City and get my driver's license and state ID. That was a very high point of anxiety for me.
Cameras line the ceiling. Police man the doors. If he gets through this, he's home free. If he gets caught trying to steal an identity, it's straight to prison.
Here to get a new driver's license?
I made sure I was dressed very neat, conservative.
Yes, ma'am.
Even with all that and the documents I had in my hand, a certified Social Security card, and the information from Richard Bassett's old driver's license, it was still a very anxious few minutes.
Bowen fills out the paperwork using Bassett's information. He's careful, but the tension is too much. He slips up and uses his own year of birth instead of Richard Bassett's.
When they noticed the mistake, I not only had been sitting there doing nothing but worrying, waiting for the photo to print out and letting my anxiety build, they called me on the mistake, and at that point I thought I was dead.
There's a problem here.
The teller at the DMV points out the discrepancy in birth dates. On the outside, Bowen remains calm and at ease, but on the inside, he's terrified.
That's my son's birthday.
I think because of the way I looked, the way I was talking, acting so comfortable and nonchalant, that it was passed off as an honest mistake.
Okay, well, seems to be fine.
The teller lets the mistake go and gives Bowen his new ID.
Thank you.
And I got outside, it was like a flood of relief, just almost tangible. You're washing over me.
Jerry Bowen is now known as Richard Bassett. Using his new identity, Bowen begins to establish a life for himself in Salt Lake City. He falls back on his drywall experience and lands a small subcontracting job.
Well, I started finishing the drywall almost immediately, within just a few days. And then my paranoia started kicking in.
Bowen decides it's time to literally erase the last link to his past identity.
I decided to etch or erase my fingerprints from my fingertips.
From his research, Bowen learned how to use acid to burn the prints off his fingers. Bowen begins the slow, painful process of holding each finger in acid for as long as he can take the pain.
Burning like fire. A lot of times I would lift my finger out of the acid and it would be hurting so bad I would pace up and down the room.
Bowen needs to keep working. He can't afford to damage all of his fingers at once. So over a period of several months, he works one finger at a time. Then he gets to his ring finger and goes too far. After being convicted of murdering his ex-wife in 1998, Jerry Lee Bowen flees Shelby County, Alabama, and takes on the alias of a homeless man named Richard Bassett. In the winter of 2002, he's literally erasing proof of his true identity by burning off his fingertips with acid.
As the acid was working on the finger, apparently it penetrated below the skin and killed the end of the finger because it immediately turned black like severe frostbite. And over the next few days, it shriveled and became as hard as a piece of wood. I knew then that the end of the finger was dead.
Okay, why don't you have a seat and we'll take a look. Thanks, Doc. So tell me what you did.
Bowen must get medical attention. He knows it's a risky move, but he has no choice. If the doctor sees scarring on his other fingertips, he might become suspicious.
I do construction and it gets kind of rough sometimes.
Do this for me.
So I made up a story about being hurt on the job and went to a doctor. I was very careful when he was working on my finger not to let him see the pads of the other fingers.
Lucky for Bowen, the doctor doesn't notice. He simply removes the dead part of Bowen's finger.
He saved the last joint, but I still lost about a half an inch of the finger.
Bowen lives in Salt Lake City for the next 2 years. He's feeling confident in his new identity as Richard Bassett. Back in Alabama, investigators are still following up on leads.
When you have a fugitive missing, of course, you start right around where you are, and the local media was very helpful. We put posters, flyers out that they showed on TV, told the story, pictures. We put flyers all around the community.
Meanwhile, Jerry Bowen is on his way back to Reno, Nevada. He has a nagging feeling about the real Richard Bassett and returns to check on him.
I was concerned about Richard Bassett and his being healthy and alive because he was a hardcore alcoholic who apparently had a lot of internal damage that the alcohol had done to him over the years.
Shortly after arriving in Reno, he runs into a few familiar faces. It turns out that the real Richard Bassett has died. Bowen can no longer use his identity.
Now the process of finding an ID has to start again, since Richard Bassett is now dead. So I go back from Reno to Salt Lake City, quit work, and started the whole process all over again.
In Salt Lake City, Utah, Bowen begins to frequent the Salvation Army Soup Hall. Once again, he's in need of a new identity.
You got any spare change on you, man?
Yeah.
Bowen is looking for an ideal candidate when he meets a homeless man named Stephen Bell Starbuck.
I think he hit me up for $1. Our bum change, and I gave him $1. And he got emotional.
Thanks,
He said,
man.
I've been
All
here
right, that's great. You're
X
all right,
amount of
man.
weeks.
Thank you, buddy.
And he said, you're the first
I
person
really
to ever
need
help
it,
me.
man.
You got family to back you up?
No,
And from that point, I started talking to him. I befriended him with the idea to find out everything I could about him. Found out he was less than a year older than I. Even though he was several inches shorter, his ID, I found out, showed him as being 6'1".
Bowen learns that Starbuck has no children, has never been married, and can't keep a job. He's a perfect candidate. One night, Starbuck comes back late. He's drinking heavily.
How you doing, Steve?
Bowen waits for an opening,
Haven't seen you for a while.
then makes his move.
I stole his Social Security card. And I stole it when he was drunk and unconscious.
Bowen leaves Salt Lake City and heads back to the south. His destination is Charleston, South Carolina. On the way, he stops by a small-town DMV and easily obtains a new driver's license under the name Stephen Bell Starbuck.
I'm a little bit apprehensive about being back in the South, this close to Alabama, but I reason that I'm far enough away that I shouldn't have hardly any contact with anybody that really knows me. It was one full state away from Alabama, and I felt like that was enough.
Did he say you look like that?
In the summer of 2004, Bowen begins to set up a new life in Charleston, South Carolina. He meets a woman, and they begin dating. Once again, Bowen finds work installing drywall and renovating homes. Late one afternoon, on his way home from work, Bowen has an encounter he's been trying to avoid for 4 years.
I was coming home from work one day, and a policeman pulled in behind me. He turns on his light, and I knew that I was about to get a speeding ticket.
Bowen knows that no traffic stop is minor when you're a fugitive. Jerry Lee Bowen has been on the run for 4 years. He's living in Charleston, South Carolina, under the alias Stephen Starbuck. Late one afternoon, on his way home from work, a police officer pulls him over.
License registration, sir.
Sure.
You know how fast you were going?
No, sir.
You were doing 47 and a 35.
Sorry, I didn't know. I was a little tired coming after work.
Okay. Well, if you can wait here for a moment, Mr. Starbuck, I'll be right back.
Sure.
The officer runs Bowen's license. This is the moment he spent 4 years preparing for.
My driver's license and photo was valid. My fingertips were already etched at that point.
Well, Mr. Starbuck, everything seems to be in order here.
Bowen's license comes back clean. The officer lets Bowen go.
Next time, you mind slowing it down just a little bit, save ourselves the trouble.
Yeah, I will. Thank you very much, officer.
You're very welcome, sir. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
It looks like Bowen is getting away with life as a fugitive. But he's never felt so alone.
I guess because I was no longer as anxious, I was getting more and more homesick. Missing my children, missing my family, my sisters.
Bowen gives in to the longing. He risks everything and drives back to Shelby County.
Just drove through the old neighborhood and didn't stop, didn't say hi to anyone. I had it in the back of my mind that I might turn myself in, that being on the run, out of contact with my family, my children, I just was not happy.
Bowen hasn't forgotten about Shelby County, and the community hasn't forgotten about him either.
The impact of his crime was felt very widespread. There's not the words to say just how strongly everybody felt about the fact that he had to be found, that he had to pay for what he had done. It went on so long that we did begin to think that was never going to happen.
After nearly 4 years of searching for Bowen, the sheriff's office has run out of leads. All they can do now is wait and hope that Bowen gets careless.
We were in neutral. You know, all of our efforts had been unproductive. We had support from federal agencies that had not turned any rocks over. We'd heard nothing in quite some time. So it was a very low ebb.
The FBI is making little progress as well.
Sometimes, you know, especially as the investigation drags on, you know, the longer it goes, you feel like the less likely you are to actually catch the person.
As the years go by and Bowen remains on the loose, the public lives in fear.
I think everybody's antennas were up. We were always afraid that if he did it once, he could do it again, because there wasn't a reason that he had to have done what he did.
So I felt like every law enforcement officer in the country was in danger. I felt like that family members and people that had testified were potentially in danger.
They have one more arrow in their quiver and contact a popular crime show. They hope the media can help catch Bowen.
It's better than sitting there not doing anything. Sometimes none of the leads pan out. Sometimes you get lucky and pretty quickly they will.
Oh my God.
In Charleston, South Carolina, a woman sees the broadcast and thinks she recognizes Bowen.
It's Steve. It's Steve. It's
Steve
Steve.
who?
Steve.
A man she knows as Stephen Starbuck has been dating her sister on and off for the past year.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
At this point, she knows that Starbuck is really Jerry Lee Bowen. Her husband calls the FBI's Violent Crime Squad and reports Bowen.
The agent here in Birmingham received a call in December of 2004 in which the caller identified himself as an individual that thought that he had information, knew not only who Jerry Bowen was posing as, but also his whereabouts.
The agent passes the information along to the Charleston Police Department.
Yeah, Jenkins. Yeah.
It's the end of the shift for 2 detectives, but they drive to Bowen's house and follow up on the tip.
It was a work night, I think Tuesday, right before Christmas, and I went to bed at my normal time, around 9 or so, went to sleep. About 11 o'clock or so at night, I heard a knock on my door.
Bowen is surprised to see 2 detectives standing at his front door.
He said, Mr. Starbuck, we need to talk to you a minute. He said, we need you to prove that you are who you say you are. I knew at that second that the game was probably up.
Police tell Bowen to get dressed and come with them.
Can you just give me a minute? Make it quick.
Bowen agrees and heads back to his room.
So I walked back into my bedroom, and let me say there was 2 guns in my bedroom, loaded.
Bowen has a decision to make: grab the guns or take his chances down at the police station.
Police! With your hands! No, get down! With your hands!
Convicted murderer Jerry Lee Bowen has been on the run for 4 years since jumping his bail in Alabama. Police have finally caught up with him in Charleston, South Carolina.
Yes. So we're here to ask you some questions. You need to get dressed and come on down to the station with us, okay?
As Bowen dresses to go to the station, he eyes his loaded weapons, asking himself if he should put up a fight. He decides to leave the guns and go peacefully.
I was going to hold out because of my fingertips being etched. I was still holding to that hope.
Bowen has spent 4.5 years erasing his old identity and building a new one. Now he's about to face the moment of truth.
Head down. Let's go.
I think that's you. That's not me. I've never been arrested. Oh, really?
He immediately started saying, "You really look like the guy I've got here." He made a comment at one point. He said, "I would bet the farm you're Jerry Bowen."
Stephen Starbuck. I don't know who this Jerry Bowen is. That's not me.
We're going to process you and find out. All right?
Police run his fingerprints to confirm his identity. The scarring on his fingertips obscures most of his prints. But there's enough information left for police to make a positive ID.
When the guy started rolling my fingers, I knew the jig was up. And then I admitted to being Jerry Bowen.
Okay. I'm the guy you're looking for. I'm Jerry Bowen. I'm Jerry Bowen.
What'd I tell you?
Good. Made it easier on yourself.
The Charleston Police Department calls the Shelby County Sheriff.
It's around midnight, and North Charleston Police Department has called, and they believe that they have Jerry Bowen.
Are you sure it's him?
He's sitting right next to me.
Sheriff Curry is hopeful, but he's not convinced.
I asked him, ask him his children's names, and he named both his children. And I said, spell his daughter's name, and she spells her name with a J instead of a G, as most people would. And when I heard him say J as the first letter, I told him, I said, don't let him go. That's the guy.
Bowen is finally captured. He has been on the run for 4.5 years since being convicted of murdering his ex-wife.
When I finally admitted to being Jerry Bowen, there was a sense of relief and almost no sense of anxiety. It was like, I know hard times are coming, but I've been through hard times.
Today, Bowen's new identity is inmate number 238713. He's a convict at the Limestone Correctional Facility outside of Huntsville, Alabama. He is sentenced to spend the rest of his life behind these bars.
I can't say that I regret going on the run because I got an extra 4.5 years of freedom, if you want to call being away from family and friends freedom. I am alive today, even though I'm incarcerated. And if I hadn't went on the run, I honestly don't know if I would be alive or not.
It was Bowen's careful planning that kept him out of the hands of law enforcement for such a long time.
In the end, all the steps he had taken, all the precautions he had taken, wasn't enough to keep him from being captured and going to prison where he belonged.
Jerry Lee Bowen still maintains his innocence. He believes his life was in danger back in Shelby County.
I knew I was innocent, and I knew they had no evidence, no witnesses, no facts showing that I did, but the circumstantial evidence actually cleared me.
Authorities are confident that justice has been served.
The Jerry Bowen fugitive case was the most satisfying fugitive case I had worked on, to see that the system actually works.
I think when you look at murderers in general, they come in a lot of different sizes, shapes, makeups, and I think Jerry's a case where you can't tell a book by its cover, and I think within Jerry there were serious issues.